Hello, Louis.
Hello, Mohit. How are you?
Good to see you. Your image is back and now I can see you moving. I think there was a glitch in the system and we
Means that
couldn't
I'm
connect
still
earlier.
alive.
Fantastic. And good to see you. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our series of webinars. And I'm so happy to see all of you here. We have our friends here from different parts of the world. And we've got Harpreet, Iqbal, people who work behind the scenes all the time. Very Prasad ji, Abba, welcome, Hari Saab, welcome Brian. Brian is a friend. Louis, you might know him. He's from Worcester and he runs a very nice birdie store.
Yes.
I'll tell you all about it. So Betty is here, John is here, and Dominic is here, Miraji is here, Dr. Newton, welcome, Swati ji, and Arun Gulati. So lots of friends are here. Friends, Louis and I have known each other for over 20 years now, and we first met in Rutland Water. The bird fair used to happen there. I think they might restart the bird fair next year after this threat of pandemic is over. And so Louis and I go back a long way together. Louis has been working very actively for conservation and for bird tourism. And he's a master of his field in South America. And he belongs to Argentina, one of the prettiest places on this planet. And one of his colleagues did a webinar with us on Pantanal a few weeks ago, talking to us about the birds and animals and the jaguar from there. And today he's going to talk to us about the magic of Patagonia. But before I get started, I'd like to introduce him formally to you all so that you know who he is. It's a very long introduction because he's done so many things in his life. Some good things he's done. Not everything good, but a few good things I'm going to read out. So Louis is one of the founders and co-owners of Trogon Tours. His homeland is Patagonia, where he spent most of his life. He started leading birding and wildlife tours in 1982. And based in Buenos Aires, at that time he joined the Argentinian Ornithological Society and the Argentinian Wildlife Foundation, taking several courses on birds, bird watching, mammals, marine mammals, flora and geology, and soon started leading groups of Argentinian birders and naturalists in different national parks and nature reserves within the country. At age 20, Louis took his first group of foreign birders throughout Argentina, and he continues leading English-speaking naturalists and birders throughout the Neotropics and Antarctica, focusing mainly on flora expeditions, general natural history, and nature photography tours. So there's a big history and there's a lot of things that he has done. He's been involved with many wildlife conservation projects related to penguins, and he's also been in charge of rescue station for penguins. And then he's helped in founding Austral Ornithological Society, and he's a cacti enthusiast, and the list just goes on. So, Louis, you'll be able to show your magic to people when you start speaking, and I will cut short your introduction because it's a 3-page long introduction. Yeah.
To make it short, the key thing is to say that Mohit and myself, we've been in touch and we know each other since over 20 years ago, and we are on the same page, and we share passion for nature, which is what I'm sure that all of you share with him, with Asian Adventures, and we hope that you can share it with us. Mohit is planning to organize a couple of tours in South America, and I'll be more than happy to co-lead with Mohit a Patagonia tour, which he is going to organize soon as all these problems with the COVID are gone. And the good thing is that we all on the same page. We are all nature lovers, and I would like to tell you more about my hometown and my home place, Patagonia, overall. So if you're ready, I don't know, Mohit, should I start with the presentation now?
Yeah, I just wanted to give my introduction to those who don't know me. They might be here for the first time. And I just wanted to let them know that professionally, I'm an experiential ecotourism specialist with a deep love for nature. I help people travel to some wonderful places in Asia. And in 2023, we will make you travel to Argentina as well. I'm on the board of Asian Ecotourism Network, and GSTC has trained and certified me in sustainable tourism. I'm the founder of Asian Adventures. It's a 27-year-old tourism company, and it's the largest and #1 bird watching tour company in India. I'm also the founder of Natineta, a digital marketing company. Now it's working towards strengthening communication for ecotourism and conservation outfits. These companies are on a large mission to help Asian elephants with their corridors, free the Himalayas of plastic waste, and help small wildlife NGOs. And my personal interest is to conserve ancient Himalayan shrines as well. So that was a bit about me. Most people know who I am, and welcome to our webinars, Louis, because it's important to bridge these gaps right now and throw open all the knowledge, all the information to to the natural history enthusiasts, and let them learn from this particular period. Our parents are not paying for us to go to college any longer, and so we're paying the price now. So it's time to learn. It's time to go back to our learning sessions. Over to you, Louis.
Okay, thank you very much. I have a PowerPoint presentation. You must let me know if it's running well. My connection is all right. We did some tests with Mohit a moment ago, but I'm not going to be able to see what you write while on the presentation. Then when the presentation is over, we can go through questions and we can talk about the good things of life, like how I met Mohit and the things I know about him and all the things. Okay, presentation is going to start. Okay, right. Can you see?
I can see it properly. Can everyone see this presentation properly? If everybody can see it properly, can you just put yes in the chat box so we know that it's absolutely visible to everyone?
Can you all see? You give me the okay, yeah. Mohit, and I continue.
Iqbal says yes, Harpreet says yes, Mahesh says yes. So it's good to go. You go ahead.
All right. So presentation is, as we told you before, on wildlife of southern Patagonia, right? Which is the place where I live. Here's a map of South America. You can see the Pacific Ocean on the left-hand side and the Atlantic Ocean on the right-hand side. All the countries of South America. If you look on the top right of the screen, you're going to see part of Africa. So now you know where the continent is located. And my country is one of the two largest countries in South America. The biggest one is Brazil, and the second one is Argentina. There, with the circle, you can see two countries, Argentina and Chile, which are relevant for this talk because Patagonia is a region that spans through these two southernmost countries of South America. So there's a close-up now. Argentina is really very big. If you count the islands and all the territories that belong to the country, it's nearly 2 million square kilometers. And Patagonia is more or less 1/3 of the country. It's the southernmost tip of it, right? Argentina despite being so big, is only 45 million inhabitants. So very, very few people living in the country. It's a country of vast wilderness. And in Patagonia, you only have less than 10% of the population of the country. So lots of wildlife and huge wilderness. This is a close-up of Patagonia itself. If you look on the left, the map is darker green. That's the Chilean side. There's a white line here. This is the limit between Argentina and Chile. Chile is the country to the left and Argentina to the right. So Chile is a long, narrow country, and Argentina is wider, and it sits on the Atlantic, where Chile sits on the Pacific, despite Patagonia comprise the two countries. So what I want to invite you to do is to take an imaginary trip through Patagonia, starting, of course, in my area, which is the area in the red circle. This is the area of the Valdez Peninsula. You probably saw documentaries on the Valdez Peninsula before. Sir David Attenborough filmed the orcas taking sea lions from the beach here. It's a documentary that was famous all around the world, and this is very, very close to my house. There's the peninsula, which you can see outlined there, is the Valdez Peninsula. There's a gulf on the northern part of the Valdez, which is called San Jose, and one that is called Nuevo in the south. And on the Nuevo Gulf, on the left side of the Nuevo Gulf, there's a city called Puerto Madryn. That's my city. Both the Nuevo and the San Jose Gulf are known because of its cetaceans, southern right whales, and the Valdez Peninsula because of the colonies of marine mammals like elephant seals, sea lions, colonies of penguins, and of course, this is the place where the orcas go in the summertime to use that resource, which are the sea lions they feed on. Well, this is home. This is what I call home. This is only about 2 kilometers away from my house. These are sedimentary cliffs. The sea is to the left of this picture. You cannot see it, but we are sitting on the Atlantic Ocean, on the South Atlantic Ocean. And this is near a city, so imagine how the rest of Patagonia is. If I go for a walk down to the beach now, it is the winter time here now. If I go down to the beach, this is what I see, southern right whales. I walk my dog every morning down to the beach, and sometimes we walk with my wife there. And at this time of the year, the southern right whales are there. And of course, lots of people come to this place to see them. There's a whale upside down and someone sitting on a boat. And this is said to be the best place on earth for watching, especially this particular type of whale. But in general, in comparison with other places where you watch whales, you are in sheltered waters here. So it's very easy, and you can see them either from the shore or from a boat. So on a walk, this pictures I took them from the shore. You can see tails, you can see the whales breaching, and birds as well, seabirds as well. And many times when you want to see whales, you wonder, how close am I gonna be to a whale? Is it true that you can really get close to them? You be the judge. You can tell me this is as close as you get, or as close as the whales get to the boats, because they are the ones who decide. The boat operators, they get to a certain area, they stop the engines, and they let the whales do their thing. And these are called the right whales because the whalers used to believe that these were the right whales to kill because they are very, very friendly, and after you kill them, they float. Luckily, in our country, they are protected since the 40s, since the 1940s. And since 1983, they have been declared a natural national monument. So you cannot even disturb whales in the Argentine waters. So this is a place where you really enjoy wildlife. When you drive towards the Valdez Peninsula from my town, you cross a vast dry steppe. It's a bushy steppe. The predominant winds here blow from the west. So they drag all the moist from the Pacific Ocean, rains on the Andes, and by the time they cross into the eastern part of Patagonia, they turn into very, very dry winds, and the vegetation is like this. And these animals are called guanacos. These are wild. These are wild relatives of the camels. We have 4 species of camels in South America. The guanaco and the vicuña are wild. Sorry, the guanaco and the vicuña, yes, are wild, while the llama and the alpaca are domestic. So this is a wild animal that you see there. We also have the biggest bird in South America, which is the rhea. We do have the lesser rhea, which is slightly smaller than the greater rhea, but is commonly seen as you drive through towards the outer coast of the Valdez Peninsula, which is where you normally want to go to see marine mammals overall. There's also 2 species of fox in the area. In this particular spot, there's mainly gray fox. It's a small, very small fox, smaller than the European red fox, and several species of iconic birds like burrowing owl, which is a bird that you can see in the whole of the Americas, including Patagonia, and they use other animals' burrows to dig their own nests. So sometimes burrows made by hares or by other animals are used by these, let's say, co-inhabitants. Strange animal as it could be, armadillo is very, very common in the Americas. There are several species. This is the greater hairy armadillo or 8-banded armadillo. Common, very common in the Valdez Peninsula, but nocturnal, so it's not so easy to see at daytime, except in the Valdez Peninsula, where in certain areas they're used to people and they come out and they just walk around you and you can see them very well. Birds are very tame here because, as I said before, there's not too many people, and in most places where people go, the birds are curious and they come to you. Sierra finches are a group of South American birds, and most of them are restricted to the Andes, but this particular one, the morning Sierra finch, is visible here and easy to see. And there's some very strange animals. They don't really look like anything else you see in other places on Earth. This is actually an Argentine endemic mammal, which is called mara, or Patagonian cavi, or cavi, as you prefer to call it. This is the size of a medium-sized dog, you could say. And it is related to guinea pigs and to capybaras. Regardless, it's a completely different species, and it lives in this area. It's quite common in this area, and one of the things that you see when you go to the Valdez Peninsula. Flora is fantastic. Deserts are full of life, full of wildflowers, and I'm just going to show you a few of the things that you can see here. This is a cactus. The Americas are the land where the cactus belong. All the cactus that you see outside the Americas are introduced. They are native to the Americas, and you can see several species here in Patagonia as well. Some bushes have adapted to live on the seashore. This one is submerged, is underwater part of the day with the high tide, and with the low tide, when the tide goes down, you can see the plants and you can see the flowers as well. And despite being a huge country, Argentina does not have too many endemic birds, because many of the birds that we have, especially in the south, we share them with Chile. So truly endemic birds in Argentina, there's only 16. And among the 16, there's one that is not only endemic to Argentina, but endemic to my province, to the seashores of the province of Chubut. And this is the Chubut steamer duck, or white-headed steamer duck, which you can see here. Steamer ducks are a strange group of birds. They are not geese, they are ducks, but they belong to a different family, different genus altogether. And they're called the steamer ducks because they don't fly very well. And when they try to take off, they flap their wings against the water, and it looks like a Mississippi steamboat. There's 3 species in continental Argentina. This is the one that we have here in Chubut, and I'll show you other 2 later on. But of course, these are the key birds that everyone wants to see when they come to Patagonia, penguins. In the Valdez Peninsula, you have the biggest nesting colony of Magellanic penguins on Earth, with nearly 2 million nests, and you can literally walk right through them. But there's other areas where it's wilder, and I'll show you later on, and you can actually sit and wait for the penguins to stand around you. Magellanic penguins spend most of the year in the open sea, or half of the year in the open sea, and they come to the shore for nesting. to lay eggs and to raise their young, and then the rest of the year they remain in the open sea. They cannot fly, they're flightless birds, as you can see, and restricted to the southern hemisphere, to different places in the southern hemisphere. But the Valdez Peninsula, the outer coast, is well known by the colonies of southern elephant seal, an animal that is mainly Antarctic or subantarctic, and there's only one breeding colony in the continent, which is the Valdez Peninsula. There are around 32,000 of these massive animals coming to the Valdez Peninsula every year to reproduce, and they reproduce in harems. There's one male that has a group of females, which is the so-called harem, could be up to 50, 60 females. And look at the size, the face of the male. They are called elephant seals because they have this sort of trunk, you could say. A proboscis is how you call it. And these animals are up to 6 meters long. Sometimes they're huge. They're really very massive. There are also sea lions, and sea lions are common all around the Americas. Southern sea lion overall, you can see it in the whole of South America. But here in the area of the Valdez Peninsula, they're the main food resource for orca. And this is what I was telling you before. Some documentaries have been made here of orcas taking young sea lions from the beach. Sea lions, when they're young, as you can see, they're careless. They play on the waves near the shore, and the orcas seize the opportunity and they take them from the beach normally. There are 5 families of orcas well identified in the Valdez Peninsula, and if you come at the ends of summer, you can see them quite well from the shore. There are no boat trips to see the orcas, but from the shore you can see them really very, very well. So continuing with our imaginary trip through mighty Patagonia, the next place that we normally go visiting because of its wildlife, but also because of its geology, is in the province of Santa Cruz, which is to the south of the province of Chubut, my province. This place, there's a river. I don't know if you can see the arrow, but there's a river there, which is called Rio Deseado, Desire River. There's a city there, and there's several colonies of animals in the area of Puerto Deseado. To the west of Puerto Deseado, there's a natural national monument, which is interesting because of its geology. There's petrified woods in that place. And we normally combine a visit to that area to see 2 species of penguins rather than 1. Several species of cormorants, dolphins overall in the area of Puerto Deseado. And then when you move to the west, you can really experience Patagonia is a very, very windy area. And experiencing the wind is part of being in Patagonia. And there's also petrified woods in that place. And the size is massive. You'll see it in pictures soon. This is how that part of Patagonia looks for. That is a very old railway station, which has been abandoned years and years ago, but the vegetation is barren. The winds here are the famous roaring 40s. They blow from the west at very high speeds, and nothing stops them. They go all around the world. There's no land between here, the eastern part of Patagonia, and New Zealand, and then you go around and there's no land until Chile. So the winds keep running and running, and they're very, very strong winds. In the area of Puerto Deseado, in the estuary of the river, there's a colony of red-legged cormorant, which is a Pacific species, and there's only one colony here on the Atlantic in that area. It's probably one of the most beautiful cormorants of them all, with red legs and red and yellow beaks, and they are gray rather than black and white like most of the others. So that's one of the things that we see there. There's a beautiful view of this bird. He has green eyes, and the colony is doing very well. But of course, again, we go back to the penguins. These are the ones that people really want. And as you can probably see, I'm sitting on the ground there, and penguins are all around me. This is something that you can only do in that part of Patagonia, because in the rest of Patagonia, penguin colonies are smaller, and they're totally protected, so they don't let you walk through. There's only a couple of places at the Valdez Peninsula and here where you can see these kind of colonies which are open to visitors. And we, of course, go there. This is an island in front of Puerto Deseado with an old lighthouse, still working. but there's no people living there now. It's automatic. And there's a few penguins, as you can see. Penguins are closely associated by most people with the cold and the Antarctic, but the truth is that most penguins, they are not Antarctic, or most of these penguins, the Jackass penguins, or donkey penguins as they call them as well, they live in subantarctic areas. And there's one huge colony in this place. You can see chicks. Chicks spend about 2 months with their parents, and then the parents go and they're on their own. But there's also another species of penguin here, much funnier one, the southern rockhopper penguin. This is subantarctic normally, and again, there's only one nesting colony in the continent, which is here in Puerto Deseado. These penguins arrive a little later than the others. They arrive in October, November, they lay eggs, and again, the parents stay with the chicks for a short period of time, and then they go. And again, how close can you be? You can see people sitting on the right of the picture. There's 3 persons sitting. One is my wife, and there's my business partner and his wife, and this is as close as you can go. And the island is protected, so they only allow 2 groups of people a day. So when you go there, you can feel the Patagonian solitude as you share time with wildlife. Some birds are very strange. This is a tinamu. It looks like a partridge, but tinamus are a completely different family. They're more related to the rhea that I showed you before. Most of them are forest birds, but in Patagonia, there's elegant crested tinamu, which you see right through the steppe everywhere in eastern Patagonia. And that's one of the things that you see when you drive to this place, where you see the petrified forest. That's my wife. She's not very tall, I must say, but she's not that short either. And look at the size of this massive tree, which is there in the middle of nowhere. This is how that part of Patagonia looks like. It looks like the moon, the surface of the moon. There's nothing, very little vegetation, wind, lots of wind. This is what happens with the wind. This is before my wife took off. That's just a joke. She's still here and she's all right. But look at the wind affecting her jacket and the barren lands of Patagonia. Very, very special feeling. Eastern Patagonia is very much like this. But then when you move on to the south or western part of Patagonia, especially there, the southernmost tip of the American continent, there's a city called Ushuaia right there, and there's the Beagle Channel. There's a closer look. The white line is the limit between Argentina on the right and Chile on the left. We share the island of Tierra del Fuego. This is the famous Beagle Channel where Captain Fitzroy and Darwin have been exploring back in the 1830s. And this is the Straits of Magellan. So this is Tierra del Fuego, the land of fire. And this particular area, the area of Ushuaia, this is the main city in the island of Tierra del Fuego, one of the southernmost cities on Earth. There's actually one more across the channel on the Chilean side, but these 2 cities are very close. Most of the Antarctic cruises, they leave from here, from Ushuaia, to go to Antarctica, which is only 1,000 miles away. And this is a good place for watching birds as well, especially some birds related to the Patagonian forests. This happens not very often. This is how the Beagle Channel looks from Ushuaia when it's calm, when it's normally windy. These are the blue waters of the Beagle Channel. Certainly not what you normally see, but very, very special by all means. There is a lighthouse on an island in the middle of the Beagle Channel, which inspired some stories, especially Jules Verne wrote a book about one lighthouse of Patagonia, which is not exactly this one, but it's very close to this one. And the area of the islands around Ushuaia is full of life. There's colonies of 2 species of sea lions, several colonies of cormorants, and there's some sea geese, like this kelp goose. This is the male. The male is white, and the female is black. They melt very well with the landscape. You can probably see that the air is very, very pure. There's lots of lichens, and lichens only thrive in areas with very pure air. There's other species of geese. This is the Upland Goose, very common throughout Patagonia. Males, again, are white, and the females are brown, but commonly seen all over the place, including there. And yet another species of penguin. When you take a boat trip along the Beagle Channel, you get to an island, which is to the east of Ushuaia, and there you have a colony of Gentoo penguins. And these are Antarctic penguins in general, or subantarctic. Most of their colonies are in the northern part of Antarctica and in subantarctic islands. But there's a colony here near Ushuaia since about 15, 20 years ago. And now the colony is growing. So again, there's another species of penguin that you can see without going to Antarctica. Even common birds like gulls are attractive here. This is the dolphin gull, which you can only see in Chile and Argentina, of course in Patagonia overall. But look at the color of the beak and the legs, red, and the bird is gray. And these are very tame. For those who enjoy wildlife photography, Patagonia is a very, very special place. And before I told you that there's other two species of steamer ducks. This, the one sitting here with the brown head, is smaller than the other one that is standing. The one that is stretching the wings and the one that is sitting are flying steamer ducks, and the ones on the left are flightless or Phrygian steamer ducks. These are special birds that you only see in places like this. But also in Patagonia, there's lots of lakes, freshwater lakes, like this one that you see, again, close to Ushuaia, inside the national park, Tierra del Fuego National Park. And there's a forest here. This is a beech forest, Patagonian beech forest. Very rich in terms of vegetation. And there's lots of birds there as well, and wonderful flowers. For those who enjoy wildflowers, this is a very nice place too. This is a barberries. It's called a holly-leaved barberries because the leaves, they look like holly. And it produces a berry, which is edible, very, very nice. Wild currant is also a common species there. There's a few more that you can see when you get to the place. But this is a place where you can see some owls. People enjoy owls. This is a pygmy owl. The southernmost species of pygmy owl on Earth is the Austral pygmy owl. And there's a huge, massive owl here, which is Magellanic horned owl or lesser horned owl, which lives also in this forest. But we also have a woodpecker. This woodpecker is the second largest species on Earth. It's called the Magellanic woodpecker, and it duels only in the forests of Patagonia, continental and Tierra del Fuego. It's 45 centimeters long. Okay, so continuing with the western part of Patagonia, the last region that I would like to show you in this imaginary trip is shared by Argentina and Chile. This is southwestern Patagonia, and the rock formations there are fantastic, and the forest is wonderful there as well. There are, as in this area, you see the white line here is the limit between Argentina and Chile. It goes through the glaciers, and there are two national parks. The one with the larger circle is called Los Glaciares, and it's inside Argentina. And the one in the smaller circle is called Torres del Paine, and it's in Chile. And we normally visit both when we go there because there's lots of things to see. This is the land of the glaciers, mountains, wildlife. There's lots of mammals, not lots of different species, but quantities of mammals. And this is where you can see puma. Couldn't find the puma, so I put a saber-toothed tiger. I promise you that you're not going to see that. And this is how it looks like. These are huge glaciers. You know that glaciers all around the world are receding, but in this area, most of them are, but some of them are stable, and some of them actually move. They go back and forth. And again, flora, if you go at the right time of the year, this is Chilean firebush, very, very common in that place. This is the Moreno Glacier, probably the most famous down there. And lots of documentaries film have been shot there. And this is one of the glaciers that is advancing and receding. Every year, there's accumulation of snow in the top of the glacier. So this glacier, which is like a river of ice, moves towards the east, downslope, you could say. And then the front of the glacier breaks. Eventually, it breaks. There's what you call the rupture of the glacier, and huge chunks of ice fall in the icy waters of the lakes. For you to have an idea, the front of this glacier, the part that you see is between 75 and 80 meters tall in the tallest part. So you can imagine how big this is. Some wonderful birds live there as well, like the master of the skies in the Andes, the Andean condor, which you can see in Argentina and in Chile, overall in Patagonia, where it's still common. Unfortunately, in other places of Patagonia, it's no longer all that common, but the wingspan of this bird is 3 meters, so it's really very, very big. I showed you before a picture of the Chilean firebush. It blooms twice a year, in November and in March, and it adds lots of color to the otherwise quite dull lands of Patagonia. And this is a very particular type of clouds that you see. Again, for photographers, this is very special. You can see a lake, which is the lake where the glacier is, the mountains in that area. The Andes are not very tall there. They're shorter than in northern South America, but very spectacular. And these clouds are called lenticular clouds. And they make wonderful, wonderful pictures. You can spend hours and hours taking photos of landscapes in Patagonia, like here. This is Mount Fitzroy. Mount Fitzroy is in Argentina. It's one of the most beautiful mountains in southern Patagonia. This is how it looks like. And it's very unusual to see it like this because many times it's overcast, but really spectacular. Not very tall, but very, very nice. There are several species of reptiles. Most of them are lizards. And the rare thing about lizards in this part of the world is that some of them, they have very small populations, restricted to, for instance, the northern shore of one of the lakes. And the males are all quite colorful. And we get to see them. And the Patagonian forest has several species of secretive birds, but very, very nice and restricted, again, to this type of landscape. This is a white-throated tree runner. This is a tapaculo, Magellanic tapaculo, which you can rarely see. You can hear it going, calling and calling, but see it is really very, very difficult. This is one of the places where you normally get to see it. Some birds live in the transition between the forest and the steppe, or in the steppe itself, and still they are very colorful. This is a meadowlark. Most of you probably know meadowlarks, and the meadowlarks in general are yellow-breasted, but ours are red-breasted. This is a long-tailed meadowlark. Obviously, it had a nest in the area. It's carrying food on its beak. And some other birds, again, another Sierra finch, like the one that I showed you before, but much more colorful. This is gray-hooded Sierra finch, sitting on another species of barberries, which is the so-called calafate. This one produces a berry, and as the story goes, if you eat the berries of the calafate, you will return to Patagonia. So you have to come at least once and then eat the berries, and you'll keep coming as many times as you wish. This is also the land where some of the rarest birds on earth live. This is a grib. This is called the hooded grib, and it has only been discovered in 1974. It's a decent-sized bird, like most gribs are, but the whole population is restricted to Patagonia. It nests on the Argentine side of Patagonia, and it goes to Chile, to the western part of Patagonia as well in the wintertime. But the population is very, very low. There are no more than 2,000 pairs of this bird. And there are lots of efforts being done to preserve the species, but it's tough and it's really very difficult. Still, you can see it here nowadays. When you cross to Torres del Paine on the Chilean side, again, the rock formations are spectacular. And this is one of the famous ones. There's the moon up there, and there's 3 like towers, and these are the towers of Paine. Torres del Paine means the towers of Paine. Beautiful, again, in a non-windy day, very unusual. And there's also another rock formation which is famous there, which are the horns. There's 2 here, the horns of Paine. But this national park is famous for its mammals, land mammals overall. There's the 2 species of foxes that I mentioned before, the gray fox that you have seen before, and the Culpeo fox or Patagonian red fox, which is bigger. It's almost 60-70% bigger than the other one. They call it red not because the animal is red, but because the legs are reddish, and this is, again, a big, big animal. Again, animals are very tame. There's a condor colony here, which you can see very close and see condors evolving there. It's really spectacular. Male condor has the crest here in the center of the head. This is a juvenile and a male. And we always see them well when we go there and in Calafate as well. Some species of ducks are highly restricted to fast-moving waters of the Andes, including the torrent duck, which is this one. These are two females. The male is white, but this is one that you can see quite easily in Torres del Paine National Park. And this is the guanaco that we saw before in my part of Patagonia, in Peninsula Valdes. And in Torres del Paine, they're super tame. You can stand right next to there, to the animals, and they don't go away. Now, in the last few years, they are a little more elusive because the population of pumas is growing in Torres del Paine, and pumas prey on this particular animal. And pumas is what we go for when we go to Torres del Paine. There are pumas everywhere in Patagonia, but the ones in Torres del Paine have been protected for many, many years now, and they are tame. You can really get close. If you know where to go and when to go, you can get close to them and obtain pictures like this one or this one, and they won't go away. So Patagonia is, of course, my home. What can I tell you about my place? I really love it, but it's full of wildlife, and it's certainly waiting for you to come visiting. So thank you for being in this presentation. And I really look forward to meeting you all here one day in the near future. Join Mohit in his tour to Patagonia. I'll be more than happy to show you my place. And of course, I'm willing to reply to any questions you might have. Let me get off this presentation and we can go through questions. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing it. You can see me now.
I want to thank Lucas for putting down the information as you were talking. It was very nice. And I'd like visitors, guests to ask as many questions as you would want to. And Louis would be happy to answer. Just to let you know that we're planning a trip to Pantanal and to Patagonia in 2023 in the months of, I think, June or July, but we'll come back to you with that. Some people have already shown interest. So I plan to be there for at least a month, running 2 tours back to back to take this further, and then also explore the possibilities, how we're going to involve ourselves while we're there with conservation projects and meet some scientists and people who are engaged with direct conservation of species. So that's a part of our tours. And I have a question for you, Louis. When you were talking about the flowers, and you said March is a good time, and they, you could see them twice a year. But when we're there in May or June, will there still be lots of flowers to see?
Well, for Patagonia, May or June are not very good months, except for the southern right whales, which are here. So combining Pantanal and Patagonia should be done in September, October, which is a wonderful time of the year. And that's when you see the flowers and you see the wildlife and you see everything. Pantanal in September and Patagonia in October is fantastic, because October is when the penguins are sitting on eggs. So you're gonna get to the colonies and see them, just going through their life cycles, and you can sit there and spend hours. And the whales are here, and the chances for the elephant seals, the massive bull elephant seals with the big nose, are here as well. So I would say that September, October, if you want to combine the two trips, is the best time of the year to do that. Overall, October.
Okay. Great. So Alok Bhave is asking how many days minimum are needed, and which is the nearest airport?
Okay, to enter Argentina, you enter via Buenos Aires, which is the capital city of Argentina. So every tour gets there. Since distances are so long to travel to Patagonia, you have to fly from Buenos Aires to the different places. An average tour showing you the places that I showed you on this documentary, on this presentation, I'm sorry, let's say 3 of these places, takes 12 days. 12 to 15 days would do. Puerto Deseado, the place where you have the southern rockhopper penguin, does not have an airport. So to go there, you have to drive from either Comodoro Rivadavia, which is a city 200 kilometers away, or directly from the Valdez Peninsula, taking a longer drive. But a good combination, a good trip to Patagonia that will show you almost everything is the Valdez Peninsula, Ushuaia, and Calafate, and you fly from A to B. So you enter to Buenos Aires, then you fly to Puerto Madryn or Trelew. From here, you fly to Ushuaia, from Ushuaia to El Calafate, and then back to Buenos Aires. And of course, we have local vehicles that will take us around, and guides are going to be there with you and everything.
I have a big smile on my face because I just noticed that Johnny is here from Uganda with us.
Johnny, how are you, my friend? It's good to see you.
Wonderful. Lucas, can you just put Trogon Tours Facebook or social media credentials here? Some people want to know. Okasodo wants to know the coordinates. So if you can just put that, that'll be useful for them to talk to you as well. And I've got, so I have quite a few questions which I will take offline with you. And I can see that it was a jaw-dropping presentation, and people are now they know exactly what to do in Argentina when they go there, and then what to expect. So we've seen all this on television. We've seen them in different places, documentaries, but to refresh these sites again is absolutely fabulous. It was very nice, very, very nice presentation, Louis. I'd like to share a file with everyone when we're ready with our dates and prices and things like that. And then also, if people want to know more about certain species or certain things, can we come back and do a full-fledged presentation again, maybe a few weeks down the line, or maybe a month or 2 later, and talk about how they're going to go from wherever, let's say they land into Argentina, and then how we're going to go stepwise, what we're going to do in the first few days and the next few days, and and then take them through a virtual tour, literally. It'll be so interesting to carve that out.
Yes, but the key thing is that if you have questions at a later stage, you can always ask us. We are in touch all the time with Mohit, and we're here to help and willing to answer all your questions, and looking forward to see you here.
It was really, really nice. We had 104 people registered, out of which I think about 60 odd people have attended already. And I know a lot of people would want to, who missed out this presentation, will get the replay link. Also, Louis, just to let you know that you could let your friends know, tomorrow we have a presentation by Malika, who's from Tasmania. She is the board member of Asian Ecotourism Network, and she's going to talk to us about how to deal with ecotourists in the times of pandemic, when tourism agencies are down with their businesses, and how to revive that. And there's a science of e-newsletters that she's going to talk about. So it'll be very important for our birding fraternity and other people who are into any sort of business to attend that webinar. It'll happen at 2:30 p.m. IST. I'll send you the details, and I'll send it to everyone else also. Let me just post one link here, just in case if people want to see it tomorrow, then they can do that. 1 second, right now. Great, my friends. So I'm so happy that we've been talking over the last 2 years, ever since everything shut down. but next year, hoping that things will open up, all this Delta and all this will be over with, and we will be back on track to do this. But friends, what do you think? What do you think is going to be is travel going to be like? Will you be traveling just like the way we used to do earlier, or would there be changes? And do you think that people are more sensitive now to nature? Do you think that people are rethinking the ways of their being? It'll be interesting to put that into the forum that we have, and it'll be interesting to see what your thoughts are. Great. So shall we take everybody's leave, and then I'm sure you want to go drink beer now, and I'll. Yeah.
Not me. It's very early here.
Oh, it's very correct. Absolutely, it's dinner time for us.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, my friends, and please click this link and then be here tomorrow as well. And then during this course of next few weeks, we'll be bringing many other natural history webinars to you. I think Veda Quest might be going online with us, and there'll be other people as well. So we'll keep bringing more information to you as we go along. Thank you. Shabak hai, namaste. And
thank you all.
It was beautiful. Thank you, Louis.
Thank you very much.
Safe. Yeah, thank you very much for
being
here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.